Chapter 7. Respiration in Organisms. You will learn human respiratory system, differences between photosynthesis and respiration, aerobic and anaerobic respiration, respiration in other animals and plants. We eat food to get the energy. Energy is needed to do all our daily activities such as work, walk, run and study, etc. We also need energy to grow. The food we eat is digested in the alimentary canal and is supplied to each and every cell so that the cells are rich with the nutrients. However, this alone does not provide us energy. The nutrients have to be burnt in the presence of oxygen. We get the oxygen from the air to burn our absorbed food. The burning of food is actually a chemical process called oxidation. Real life connect. Gather in small groups. Count the number of times you breathe in a minute when you are at rest. Do the activities as mentioned below. With each activity, note the rate of breathing for yourself as well as your group members. Breathing rates after the activity. Respiration versus breathing. Respiration. The process in which the food is burned or oxidized in the presence of oxygen to release energy, carbon dioxide and water is called respiration. Respiration is a biochemical process which can be studied in two steps. 1. External respiration. 2. Internal respiration. Breathing. Breathing is a process in which atmospheric oxygen inhale and carbon dioxide-rich air exhale from the body. Breathing occurs continuously in the organism. There are two processes involved in breathing. 1. Inhalation, the process in which taking oxygen-rich air inside the body. Exhalation, it is a process of giving out carbon dioxide-rich air from body. Breathing rate, the number of times a person breathes in a minute, known as breathing rate. The rate of breathing is different for each person because it depends on different activities. Content, inhaled air, exhaled air. Oxygen, 21%, 16%. Carbon dioxide, 0.04%, 4%. Nitrogen, 78%, 78%. Water vapor, variable, saturated. Respiratory system in human. Human system consists of nose, windpipe or trachea, bronchi and lungs. The main organs of the respiratory system are described below. Nostril, they are a pair of opening above the upper lip. Air enters or exits from it. Nasal chamber. The nostril lead to the nasal chamber. It opens into pharynx. Windpipe, trachea. Pharynx opens through glottis of larynx, that is the sound box, region into the trachea. Pharynx is a common passage for food as well as air, stopping the entry of food into larynx during swallowing. Epiglottis covers the glottis. Epiglottis is a thin flap. Bronchi. Trachea is divided into two branches, which are known as bronchi, singular bronchus. Each bronchus enters the respective lung. Then it divides repeatedly into smaller branches, known as bronchioles, and each bronchiole ends into a small bulb-like structure, known as alveolus, plural alveoli. The alveoli are surrounded with lot of blood vessels. Lungs. A pair of pinkish to grayish conical, spongy, elastic lungs occur in thoracic cavity, one on each side. Their broad ends rest over diaphragm, which also forms the floor of thoracic cavity. Each lung contains about 300 million alveoli. How do we breathe? When lungs expand, the air goes in and it is called inspiration or inhalation. When the lungs contract, air is rushed out and it is known as exhalation or expiration. This is done with the help of diaphragm and ribs. Just below the lungs, there is a partition called diaphragm, which moves up and down. It helps in the process of expiration and inspiration. During inspiration, the diaphragm moves down and the ribs move outward. This increases the area of the chest cavity. The lungs expand and the air rushes in. During expiration or exhalation, the diaphragm moves up and ribs move inward. The lungs contract and the chest cavity gets smaller in volume. This pushes out the air from exhalation. When the oxygen reaches the cell, a chemical reaction takes place which is called oxidation. The products of the reactions are energy, carbon dioxide and water. The energy is utilized for body processes as well as our activities. The carbon dioxide and water are exhaled out. The energy is stored in the cell in the form of adenosine triphosphate, ATP. Types of respiration. There are two types of respiration which are described below. 1. Aerobic respiration. 2. Anaerobic respiration. 1. Aerobic respiration. When the respiration process is done in the presence of oxygen and release a large amount of energy, ATP. This is known as aerobic respiration. Food plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide plus water plus energy, which is more. 2. Anaerobic respiration. When respiration takes place without oxygen. This is known as anaerobic respiration. There is small amount of energy that is released. Food in the absence of oxygen gives alcohol plus carbon dioxide plus energy, which is less. Anaerobic respiration occurs in yeast and some bacteria usually, but sometimes it happens in humans. It takes place in our muscles during heavy exercise, fast running, cycling or heavy weight lifting for the demand of energy. But the supply of oxygen is limited. This causes cramps in the muscle cells due to accumulation of lactic acid. Food in the absence of oxygen gives lactic acid plus energy. Differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration 1. Takes place in the presence of oxygen. 2. Releases more energy. 3. The end products are carbon dioxide and water. Anaerobic respiration 1. Takes place in the absence of oxygen. 2. Releases less energy during the oxidation because of incomplete oxidation. 3. The end products are ethanol or lactic acid, carbon dioxide and water. If food is burnt with the help of oxygen, how is respiration different from the actual process of combustion, that is burning? Combustion is a fast process and releases the energy in the form of heat and light. No enzymes are required to burn fuel. It needs high temperature for fire to start. Whereas in living systems, respiration takes place at low temperature like 30 to 40 degrees and energy is released in steps. Parasitic animals like roundworm and tapeworm also respire anaerobically inside. Fascinating fact. Do you know how alcohol is made? It is made anaerobically with the help of yeast. Yeast respires anaerobically and gives out ethanol, which is a type of alcohol, as its product along with carbon dioxide. This also helps in rising of food items such as bread, buns, etc. The softness of the bread and buns is because of the holes. The holes are the gaps made by the escaping carbon dioxide during baking. Respiration in other animals. In protozoans, that is unicellular organisms like amoeba and paramecium, respiration is just by means of simple diffusion. These protozoans are found mostly in water. Here, amount of oxygen dissolved in the surrounding water is more than the amount of oxygen present inside the body of the protozoans. Hence, oxygen moves from water to the body of the organism through its body surface. Earthworms breathe through their moist skin. Most of the aquatic organisms breathe through gills. Tadpoles, that is baby frog, breathe through gills which disappear when they become adults. The adult frog breathes through lungs when it is on land and moist skin when it is in water. Reptiles, birds and mammals breathe through lungs. Insects such as cockroaches breathe through openings in their body known as spiracles. Air is taken in through these spiracles and enters into a complex network known as tracheal system. Fascinating fact. When oxygen-rich air enters into the tracheal system, it passes the oxygen to each and every cell of the insect's body through diffusion. Similarly, carbon dioxide from each cell goes to tracheal system and moves out through spiracles. Respiration in plants. Plants respire through stomata, present in the undersurface of the leaves. In aquatic plants, the stomata are on the upper surface of the leaf, which is exposed to air. Young stems have stomata on the outer surface, but in old and woody trees, big openings known as lenticels are seen which help the tree in respiration. The plants too need oxygen to respire. In root system, the roots divide repeatedly and extend in many directions. The soil is porous and the air is present in between the soil particles. The root hair takes in oxygen from the soil and passes it on to the other cells through a process known as diffusion. Photosynthesis and respiration are just opposite to each other. Photosynthesis takes place only in plants. This process needs chloroplast. 3. Glucose, a carbohydrate, is made. 4. Sunlight is needed to provide the energy. 5. Carbon dioxide plus water gives glucose plus oxygen. Respiration. 1. Takes place in all the living organisms. 2. This process needs mitochondria. 3. Glucose is broken down. 4. Energy is given out and sunlight is not needed. 5. Glucose plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. Subject integration. Engineering connection. Some engineers work with doctors to find the solutions to problems affecting the respiratory system. They make some device systems to provide functions of the respiratory system or part of it. For example, heart-lung devices, that is, artificial lungs. Skills and values. Students are introduced to the respiratory system from the lung and air. They learn about how the lungs and diaphragm work, how air pollution affects lungs. Students also get to create their own model of respiratory system. Rapid review. 1. Respiration is a vital process of each and every living organism. 2. In this process, the food is oxidized completely as in aerobic or incompletely as in anaerobic respiration and energy is released. 3. The energy is stored in the form of ATP in the cell and is used to meet all the needs of an organism. 4. Parasitic animals like tapeworm and roundworm respire anaerobically. 5. Aerobic respiration needs oxygen which helps in complete oxidation to release good amount of energy. 6. Anaerobic respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen and releases less energy. 7. Respiratory organs are different in different animals. Most of the aquatic animals like fish and tadpole breathe through gills. Earthworm and adult frog can breathe through moist skin. 8. Reptiles, birds and mammals breathe through lungs. 9. Plants also take oxygen for burning their food. The leaves take oxygen through stomata, the old stems through lenticels, and the roots through root hairs. 10. Photosynthesis and respiration in plants are opposite to each other. Key points. Respiration, the process in which the food is burned or oxidized in the presence of oxygen to release energy, carbon dioxide and water. Trachea is the windpipe. Bronchi. Trachea divides into two and each branch enters one lung. Both the branches of trachea together are called bronchi. Lenticels. Structures on bark of old trees used for respiration. Spiracles, holes on sides of insects for breathing. Aerobic respiration, respiration in presence of oxygen. Anaerobic respiration, respiration in absence of oxygen. Fill in